Lebanese guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to John and Dylan Online. I'm Dylan Gott.
I'm also Dylan Gott. What? You've been pranked. John Hastings here. Very confusing. Excellent Dylan Gott impression. Here's another Dylan Gott impression. I just ate a battery because I'm stupid. Very accurate.
Here's my favorite thing about this week's subject, Rob Ford, is that he is the single greatest meme of all time, but I did genuinely forget, because of how silly he is, I genuinely forgot how infuriating his actual political track record was.
Oh, yeah. No, as people that lived in Toronto at this time, the most annoying thing was them ripping up the bike lanes to reinstall the bike lanes. Like, I will never forget. Like, everyone doesn't talk about it. There was a bike lane on College Street, and here's why there was construction. They tore it out and then immediately had to put it back in. I have never felt more like an adult. Stood in front of my goddamn house where I lived with a guy that I later was the surety of because he was a real piece of shit. And I had to get him out. We were going to talk about this. He asked that I stop telling the story. And as I said to him, I'll say to you.
He's the one who was 37 dating a 21-year-old.
Correct. Doing a real, what we, looking back, we call a real 2011 cool, 2017 cool. Bad.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of shit that, like, doesn't age well. Not doesn't age well, just stuff you couldn't do nowadays, or that they wouldn't do nowadays. You didn't say couldn't, that people wouldn't do nowadays because of good taste that we are going to do anyway because I'm one of the bad boys.
Yeah, well, it's just really weird to see things that have aged badly from 2009. Like, you're like, oh man, I was hungover when I saw this first run, and looking back, yeah, woof.
Well, here's one of the main things about Rob Ford that I really like was that Rob Ford was really, really tough on crime. He really wanted to be tough on crime, and he was one of those people who was like, there's no addictions, there's just weak fucking pussies. And then later on had to be like, I am an addict.
Yeah, I am.
Or he was like, fuck these addicts, and like everything that he lined up as being like tough on crime, all this shit, he ended, like, he literally set into motion a police, like cops being tougher on crime and tougher on gangs, and then was basically in, like, that's how they caught him, is one of the raids that they did on one of these buildings. Like, Rob Ford had all his shit in, which was good.
It's so much better than that, which is it was like, here's what the Toronto Police Force is going to do. It's going to be tough on crime because you guys have been a bunch of pussies that are also girls. Girl pussies. Also, I'm cutting your pension. So basically he was like, I'm going to really piss off the cops and then I'm going to motivate them to get me. I'm bulletproof. Like, that's the best part about Rob Ford is everything he seeded with his own destruction. Also, it would have been so much better if he had come out and been like, I smoke crack. You know what that makes me? I'm a little baby. I'm a little weak baby. I would have had so much more respect for him if his comeback was like, I'm a weak little girl now. And everyone was like, yep, yeah, that's what happens when you're an addict. You're just, yeah, I am beta. Man,
it was constantly this. Here's every Rob Ford. Hey, I would not do that. I would never do that. That's ridiculous. 2 weeks later, yeah, I did it.
Hey, remember that
There's
time?
some good shit he does, man.
Oh, basically, the Rob Ford story is, as he's telling you he didn't do something, he is actively doing it. No, I'm not shitting on your lap. Well, why does it smell like shit and my lap is getting actively warmer, Rob?
Yeah, he's a bad guy from a college movie. Like, he's a guy who's tough on crime, but also was a drug dealer.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. He's also, and this cannot be stressed enough, the most Toronto of all scumbags. We're starting it off hot. Teenage pot dealer. You cannot beat the more Canadian scumbag than a guy in a puffer coat in the 80s go, meet me behind the portable.
Yeah, and also, like, and I've heard this from people who did deal weed, which is everything I learned about business, I learned from being a drug dealer. It's supply and demand. You take marketing out of it. Drugs market themselves.
Yeah, they create, people who want to get high, they're going to find you. You just have to decide, what kind of people do you want finding you? Do you want the pot people, the people that'll wait for an hour for you in a park and then realize they never paged you and they're in the wrong park? Or do you want the cocaine people, which means you just have a bunch of people stalking you?
Or also, and then there's also the this was a real thing you as a drug dealer that was a very big thing was this guy, not only does this guy sell weed, he doesn't want to hang out with you. This guy will hand you the weed and then walk away. You don't need to hear his band.
That is the first class of that experience, by the way.
No.
Are you telling me I can buy weed and I don't have to talk about someone's jujitsu gi? Yeah, that's right. But it's
He's not going to show me his swords he got from Walmart.
what? How often did you hang out in drug dealers' apartments? Because so much of my university experience was hanging out in drug dealers' apartments.
Oh, never. I was always I always like my booze and my smokes.
My God, it was just smoking cigarettes with these guys while friends were trying to buy weed. It was a nightmare. Here's the thing that
no one knew how to get, like, no one knew how to be rude, but
Yeah,
in like a nice enough way where it's like, listen, this is a transaction, but that was the thing about what these people. It's like, if you're a real weed connoisseur, be like, oh, this guy's weed's really good.
Yeah.
You just have to watch Pulp Fiction with him. It's like, I don't like weed enough to make that trade off of real time.
There was this one guy, I remember he found out that I knew how to BitTorrent. This was this was literally 2007, so like pirating was still on the rage on the internet. And I didn't even smoke that much weed at the time, and I had to go to this drug dealer's house with my friend because that was something the drug dealer would talk about for the weird half an hour before he would go, all right, let's get down to business. And by the way, he was making $40. When you look back, terrible businessman. All right, I know how I make $40. I better waste everyone's time for 2 hours.
Well, think about this, though, $40 an hour. That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad for a guy literally in a house coat. Literally saw him recently, by the way. Still at it. Montreal drug dealer. Still going strong.
That's if you can stay afloat selling weed now, that is like you beat Walmart. That's the equivalent of you beat Walmart in Canada, where it's like, wow, this guy's like a really solid customer base, and he must be.
I gotta tell you, this is a credit to two friends of mine. Two friends of mine are still weed dealers in Canada. That's like they own property in New York. I don't even know what the metaphor is. Like, they're bartenders
That's
after
probably like you just beat a big business store. Like, yeah, they have better prices, they have all these things, but I have customer loyalty.
Yeah. I think it's also bolstered by at least one of them also doesn't just sell weed. You know what I mean? Diversify your portfolio.
Guns.
Booger.
I'd like to go right to automatic weapons.
I want to
either just a guy who wants to make mowing his lawn more interesting, or there's going to be a murder tonight and I caused it in a way.
Yeah. No, I want to be. I want to go straight to being the guy that's next to the boss who's always unsure about the plan. That's where I want to go in the criminal hierarchy. Do we really need to rob this bank, sir? We already have enough coming through the docks. That's who I want to be.
All right, John, you stupid fuck.
Yes, Dylan, you little girl, you little.
So here we go. This is a major source for this was the Fifth Estate documentary on Rob Ford. We did not read the book Fordland or whatever.
Speak again. I have already read. I read this back in the day when this handled. I read Crazy Town, the Robin Doolittle book, and then I read Ford Town. I think is the other one. There's two. I read both of them. Oh, I'm infoed up. Bring it on. Do we want to talk about how his sister shot her ex-boyfriend? Do we want to talk about how they are the most North Toronto scumbag family? Their dad makes labels. He's the label king of Toronto. What the?
And was a politician.
And was a politician.
And he was a fucking straight shooter. Rob Ford, one of my favorite, when he got fucking sworn in as mayor, who did it?
Don Cherry.
Don fucking Cherry. And what was he wearing?
He was wearing a goddamn fucking Canada fucking blazer.
He was wearing a pink suit because all fucking commies can suck on it.
Is that what it was?
That was a real thing, yeah. He wore a pink suit.
I remember
so
that.
These fucking commies, take that. You're communists? Oh, what? You don't want to be called Orientals? You're communist.
Yeah, hey, I'm Don Cherry.
Only gay people have AIDS? Only gay people get AIDS?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a communist.
Don Cherry, by the way, never forget, would not allow European hockey players on his OHL team.
Yeah, man, fuck. I remember talking to someone who... So Don Cherry came back to coaching. He took a 30-year break, and hearing stories of the people from that team, I forget it was either person. Fuck, I really forget. I really wish I remembered it. But the guy was saying like, yeah, man, he made us like drink a bunch of milk before the game, and we would just lose because we'd be like, we're gonna fucking puke the first intermission. Like, milk isn't how you hydrate yourself. He's like, get a bunch of steaks, get some milk, and then masturbate. Get all that cum out. Cum makes you slow.
Here's what we'll be doing tonight, boys. We're all gonna cheat on my wife. How about that?
Oh yeah, he guaranteed did not understand how much they make in the OHL. We're all gonna take our Cadillacs, get some milkshakes, and of course, go to a diner that understands the fountain rule I like.
Okay, so first of all, what's the fountain rule, Don?
Separate fountains.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing with Hockey Night in Canada, which makes it even more insane. This is the #1 show in Canada, and it is hosted by a man that there are so many shirtless photos of him drunk, Ron McLean, who knows everything about sports. And then, like, if Elton John and Hitler combined to make an ass.
He truly was Liberace from Sudbury.
Exactly. He really is Canada's answer to Las Vegas, Don Cherry.
Yeah, so Don Cherry, obviously, which is so funny for what he got fired for, is saying "you people," where it's like, if go to the 80s, man, he actively like tried to run as
like the 80s. Go to the 2010s.
No, I mean, like, there was like a fucking far right Canadian party that had Don Cherry like run as their guy. Anyway, Don Cherry, my favorite thing about it is in the States, it's like, oh, Rush Limbaugh, piece of shit, whatever. Don Cherry was being paid by the government. He was a government employee.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, here's one of our government employees. Those Swedish people, they're meatball. They got a meatball in their pussy. It's like, we pay him. Him and a postman, same.
You're missing another point. Rush Limbaugh's show was a current events program. Say whatever you want to say about him. It was supposedly about current events. Hockey Night in Canada is about hockey. So what did you think? How do you think the Maple Leafs are doing? They're doing about as bad as any brown people should do if they come to my goddamn country. Thank you, Don. You know, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes, he would. Well, I mean, he loved the troops. Anyway, Don Cherry inaugurated Rob Ford. He had a radio show. At one point in the radio show, he said, if you are not doing needles and you are not gay, you won't get AIDS, probably.
Dylan, did you say radio show?
I hope I did. I hope I talk like a baby.
I'm a little baby and I don't have AIDS because I've never done butt stuff, according to the mayor.
He does look like a giant baby.
It was so crazy when he became mayor because bear in mind, Toronto at this time is like just a child's drawing of a progressive douche city. Like so many improvisers hanging out in Chinatown. You know what I mean? There was a
yeah, that's what. No one should hang out in Chinatown, John. You really took that a weird way.
Yeah, certainly did. But you know what I'm saying? And then like there was a garbage strike, and then this maniac got brought in, and they immediately just ripped up all the bike lanes. I'll never forget that.
Well, this is the thing about Rob Ford is he was truly the voice of the voiceless. He was the CM Punk of. I'm kidding. Yeah. Anyway,
also a narcissist.
Everyone here, what I would say is Rob Ford, I would liken it to if a drunk divorced dad going through something ran for like PTA council, because it was like all these people who were like, we all agree there are cyclists in the city because we have too much congestion and we don't have enough money to expand in the way we want to. So cyclists are something we need to have. So we're going to figure out this cycling. He's like, no cyclists. Yeah. How about this? I come into town. I see someone cycling. I get to shit on them. That is, I shit on the cyclist.
There's this like weird thing in Toronto, which people don't understand, which is Toronto is a city filled with really entitled people. So when they sit in traffic and people on bicycles move past their cars, they imbue this with a sense of like, these billionaire cyclists are able to get somewhere faster than me. They must be destroyed. Like people's anger towards cyclists in that town is so ridiculous. And he was able to channel it to be like, I get to be the mayor. I look like a trash bag filled with coleslaw, and I smell the way that cat piss tastes. So let's get stupid.
Well, I mean, also from a driver's perspective, really trying not to murder a cyclist. And then sometimes they'll be like, I'm going across. And you're like, all right, well, I was really trying not to murder you here.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been hit by 2 cars as a cyclist, I am aware that also cyclists don't help themselves because goddamn, do they love everyone? Anyone who bikes on a sidewalk, that should be a death penalty offense. I don't want to be a real baby boomer here, but watch the fuck out.
Oh, and there's some people who just do not give a shit. Like, anyway.
Like me.
Like you, but anyway, I mean, Rob Ford, you said this on a previous episode we almost recorded, but then had to stop because my car was acting up. But Rob Ford also was it was almost exactly like Donald Trump, where it's like he's a fucking populist. He's saying a bunch of weird shit, but the Canadian version of weird shit. He's not explicitly saying all Mexicans are rapists. He's saying Oriental people work like dogs.
Yeah, no, let me tell you who works really hard. Someone who's from another country who should go back there.
Yeah. There's also some silly stuff like a woman named Marg Delanty, which is a character that CBC's Mary Walsh plays. Mary Walsh is a 60-something comedian who's from
Canada.
the East Coast of Canada, a government employee, doing the same sketch comedy character for 486 years. And she shows up at his home, asks him some silly questions, and instead of just standing there while the silly questions happen with the sketch comedy from 1973, he calls the cops on this like old woman.
He calls the cops and goes back into, quite frankly, he goes back into his house. I remember seeing this news and being like, that's where the mayor lives? You always expect the mayor to have like a nice mayoral residence that's like owned by the city. Instead, he's just like living in the like, imagine your next door neighbor's the mayor. Oh, the mayor farted in his backyard.
I'll tell you something about the mayor of Stouffville. He went to my friend's wedding and he got fucking pissed off that he couldn't get chicken and steak. What do you mean? I'm Mayor Wayne. I'm a chicken and steak. And then and then when we were in high school, I don't think this is true, but I want to believe it, is that my friend, this this lady ran against Mayor Wayne and she lost to him. And we're pretty sure it's because her daughter sucked my friend off near a tree. And my friend's a fucking idiot.
And just enough people were like, I'm not voting for this person.
Her daughter did suck that guy off near a tree who's an idiot.
Yeah.
Her daughter had slept with that guy? That guy's fucking dumb.
I went to school with the daughter and granddaughter of 2 separate Ottawa mayors, and that really informed how I felt about each individual politician.
I mean, Rob Ford is crazy that he got in, because it really was like one person representing exactly all the suburbs of Toronto against like, I just moved here from Barrie and I'm a poet.
Yeah, exactly. It was the very first time where it was baby boomers v millennials in terms of ideology, where the millennials are like, hey, I live in the city, I need a bike lane to get around. This was literally me. This was how I felt about it. And my dad was just like, yeah, but here's the problem is the communists are going to use the bike lane to come after our loafers.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like, hey, I have a car and I don't want to kill you. So how about you just don't ride a bike and be a man and get a car?
Yeah, and it's like, well, I can't afford a car. I can't afford a car because the city is so goddamn expensive. And then they're like, yeah, that's why you live in that weird neighborhood that's somehow behind all those apartment buildings in deep North Toronto.
Yeah, which is so funny, where it's like, hey, you bike and get some exercise. Except if it's practical, then suck an ass dick.
Yeah. Your generation's so unmotivated, unless when you're, of course, biking to one of your 3 gig jobs, because someone who invested in this company, created the gig economy to destroy generational wealth passed down to create a new feudal system. Destroy the bike lanes.
Whoa. Big words, John. Words I don't understand. Here's my favorite thing about Rob Ford.
Mine was when he said he's just for no reason told everyone that he eats a lot of pussy. That was for me the highlight.
That was a reason for it. There was because he was drunk in a video and grabbed one of his staffers' ass, and she was like, yeah, as soon as the camera went on, he put his hand on my ass And then he was like, at 9 a.m., someone asked him a question. He said, Olivia Gondak trying to tell me I ate her pussy. I got enough to eat at home. At 9
What?
a.m.
What are we doing? Like right there, it's just like welcome to the biggest city in Canada. Ow! Ow! Ow!
Well,
Ow!
it's the thing
Ow!
where, and it's so funny that I'm so proud to say my mom and Rob Ford have something in common where if you tell my mother anything, she views it as an attack. And he's like that. And also his my mom doesn't grab ass. You know what I mean? Like he's also an entitled alcoholic or was, and if you were like, "Hey, you just grabbed that woman's ass," you'd be like, "No, didn't she fucking asked my hand."
That's a very funny point, which is he doesn't just present as one thing and is in fact another thing. Like it's like, oh, he pretends to be all about family values, has a secret family. He does it in front of people and then denies the wrong thing. He could punch a guy and he'd be like, I did not just kick a horse. I'll tell you that. And you need to stop spreading that rumor.
It's always my son getting caught doing something. It's truly a 3-year-old. You just did that. No, I didn't. I saw you do it. No, you didn't. Like he just did never evolve past being 3 and constantly getting, the best thing was he was constantly getting caught doing things and then having to apologize. This happened like 10 times because he's fucking hammered all the time.
Yeah, he's just blown out, driving around Florida, getting a DUI. He's hanging out with his high school. Also, can we just say this right now in society? Marrying your high school sweetheart is basically a ticking time bomb for you getting a DUI on vacation. Anyone who is married to their high school sweetheart, especially from Canada, DUI on vacation.
Yeah.
I find one, prove me wrong.
Well, this is also what's a thing that millennials have gone through like this where we don't really believe it's a law because baby boomers when we were born,
all drug laws.
Overlord.
No millennial respects at this point. The amount you have to stress to anyone our age, no, seriously, you can't bring drugs to this country. And like all millennials, like it to the like weed gummies. I'm microdosing on mushrooms right now. I did a couple of bumps. I'm on some MDMA. You know what I mean?
I just mean like that's what drinking and driving is to all the baby boomers because like all of our parents remember when it was like frowned upon, but still totally fine to get fucking blasted. And
I'm gonna throw this at you. I would say it's actually Gen X are still the biggest drunk drivers is Generation X, because it was that weird thing of baby boomers knew it was bad and they also lost like 8 friends because baby boomers were when you were just like, yeah, I had a couple of beers in the car. What are you gonna do? How am I gonna get home? But Gen X, it was like kind of edgy, and so now you just have fucking 52-year-olds in a fucking Tesla having 3 wines and almost fucking driving into me every day on the 5.
so Gen X, it's like how some Gen Z people call things gay again.
Correct.
Like it's like I call things gay. Yeah, I know what you mean. I killed a family of 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did some time.
So this is all right. I mean, we're going to talk about the fun stuff, obviously, with old Bobby Ford before we talk about the stuff where, like, when the video actually comes out and some of the fucked up shit that he does. But old Bobby Ford, obviously, it's so funny because what was another public thing like this? Because the crack video comes out and then it seems like everyone has videotaped him at all times. And this is also one of the things where it's like, there's the cell phones, like the ability to actually record things with cell phones is now all over the place. And he's from a generation where that did not happen.
This is the
So
thing.
he's getting blotto around random people and basically expecting them not to film him doing like hilarious shit. Like when he says like, once I'll fucking kill that guy. You know me. Once I get fucking pissed. Oh man, he does the best thing with, once I get fucking pissed, I'm fucking, you can't beat me up, dog.
Everyone on cocaine related drugs, by the way, is the same. If you have enough cocaine and you smoked or snorted, eventually you are just going to go, I will kill that guy. Here's what the thing that's so interesting about this whole thing is it's also kind of all one binge in that we know it's St. Patrick's Day in 2011. He gets mad turnt at the beer market on the Esplanade and may or may not have been seen snorting cane.
I mean, at one point in city council, he was running and ran over a fucking other city councilor.
Oh my God, that happened a few times. He knocked over people a lot of times. So basically what happens is he's going around and just partying. He's doing a lot of coke. He's getting fucked up. How this starts to become a story is the Toronto Star gets a tip from someone that Rob Ford was seen snorting something at the beer market on the Esplanade, and that puts journalists on the hunt. A woman named Robert Doolittle starts investigating. Also at the same time, there's huge gang crackdowns happening in North Toronto, adjacent to Rob Ford's district. By the way, Rob Ford's entire family has a huge history of drug abuse. His sister got really fucked up and shot her boyfriend in the face or body. I think he lived, but definitely shot him.
She was a heroin addict.
Yeah. Like it's a family history. They have connections to the drug dealing community. And so all of these sort of things converge to unveil the Rob Ford smoking crack tape. Although some people have later now claimed it wasn't crack, it was cocaine. That man does not smoke crack, which is a very funny distinction to make.
Oh yeah, no, that's a very upper class thing. I don't smoke crack, I smoke cocaine.
I smoke cocaine. Yeah. I don't let them burn it with gasoline. I smoke the much more addictive and dangerous version.
He smokes crack in the Dixon neighborhood in Toronto, gets caught smoking a bunch of crack, denies it, and then later when the video comes out, he goes, well, yeah, I smoked a bit of crack. But then he also goes on a tour, like he goes on Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay, but you have to go back. This is the part that always people forget. He doesn't just deny it. He says he's going to sue the Toronto Star. Like this is one of the first times where it's like, no, fuck you, fake news. I'm taking you down. This is a smear. This is propaganda to go against the changing in Toronto. And it turned out and bear in mind, Robin Doolittle had already seen the video. She got shown the video in a car. Like she knew he was lying. That's the craziest part. And she can't be like, by the way, I've seen the video. Then the video came out, and then it was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, and then he apparently tried to intimidate people he thought might be connected to the video.
He tried to intimidate a few other people. A guy, they had a family friend who was clearly his goon fixer, threatened some people. Supposedly, there may or may not have been a shooting that was tied to the people that released the video. That's circumstantial and conspiratorial, but I choose to believe it.
Okay, but what does he do? He does something. If this happened tomorrow, if this video was found tomorrow, this exact same situation, Rob Ford wouldn't have seen any flack whatsoever. Because what does he say directly before smoking crack in the video?
Don't get the COVID vaccine.
Trudeau's a fag.
Holy shit.
He literally before ripping the crack, he says if he would have said that,
now,
those fuck Trudeau flags would be amended. Would be, yeah. Watching this at 2024 eyes, I was like, man, Rob Ford would have been the prime minister tomorrow. Polyev would have no chance.
Yeah,
no
he wouldn't
chance.
Be a party. He'd be a write-in vote. Everyone wrote Rob Ford on the ballot.
Yeah, it'd be Rob Ford and Don Cherry. And the other thing about Rob Ford is Donald Trump is good on TV. Rob Ford is not really that camera, good on camera. He's just so he kind of comes off you're like, this guy couldn't be that bad. And then you're like, oh no, he is.
No, Rob Ford's also way better. All the stories are fun to hear about, and then you see him, it gets immediately sad, which makes it much harder to deal with in the moment because you're like, oh my God, you are so fucked up, eh? And he's just like, yeah, my dad actively hated me. He hated,
But it's also, he has a hoser accent. It's so funny where it's like, yeah, we're going to see what we're going to do about this. You're like, I didn't smoke crack there, huh?
Here's the one thing you got to know about. It's also so fucked up when someone is denying a political scandal and also rooting for a CFL team. You're like, leave him alone. He's been through enough.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's the last surviving member of Toronto that cares about a CFL team. Good for him.
Sir, I'll have you know that the Argonauts sell dozens of tickets every week.
Hey man, the Argos, I really want to become a CFL fan. I think it's fucking so funny that if you're in a high school in a town and you don't cheer for the high school team, you just cheer for the college team to pretend you're not in high school. Like, we live in Canada. The CFL is what it is. People make as much as athletes should make. Athletes should make $120,000 a year and then have to get other jobs. Like, that's how it should work. Like, when I hear about WNBA salaries, like, isn't that sad? I'm like, no. LeBron James is awesome, but he shouldn't make $50 million a year. Like, if LeBron James just made $100,000 a year and we took that other $49 million, it'd be like, oh, look, Flint has water again.
You could do that. Or else, you know what else you could do? Chairman Mao.
That's good.
I know, I do agree. I mean, I don't think they should be paid anything, quite frankly.
Oh, you think it should? Okay, good.
Just be volunteer. That would be so much better. If all sports were volunteer, let's see who's really fucking good at it now.
I think it should be fucking. This is what I think. It should all be fucking like company softball rules. Your team, you should be like, oh yeah, I only make $30,000 a year at Home Depot because we have Alex Rodriguez at shortstop. Our Home Depot team will never lose.
I like that a lot. You know what I would like to say? As someone who loves Tom Brady, and I do love Tom Brady, I am really done with his shit at that fucking roast where he went after noted loser Jeff Ross for making a joke about Bob Kraft. That was the biggest bitch move I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know that. I don't know what happened.
Shit again. Do you not know what happened?
Tom Brady couldn't take a joke. Millionaire divorced man can't take joke.
It was Jeff Ross did a joke about Bob Kraft, and
it was what?
About how Bob Kraft paid for sweet, sweet prostitutes.
That's good.
And Tom Brady got up and whispered in Jeff Ross's ear, "Don't say that shit again." And then Jeff Ross went on like this apology tour of like, "It's cool, it's fine." And right there, I was like, "Hey, here's my 2 takeaways." Tom Brady, you're a piece of shit loser bitch who you agreed to a roast. Things are going to get said. You fucking sit in your chair. B, the billionaire Bob Kraft can fucking take a joke. And C, Jeff Ross, fuck you. I don't care who it is. If someone walks up to you as a comedian performing comedy and says that in the moment, light that pretty boy. He is a divorced man. How did you not bring that up in the moment? You sit down, 40-year-old.
Don't say that again. It's like, yeah, man, I've already burnt the material. It's been on TV.
I already said it, you fucking beta.
Also, like, I don't know, man. Which is so funny when you mix athletes and just being directly insulted, like they do at roasts. Like, of course that's going to be bad. I mean, Jason Kelsey said it perfectly. He's like, I don't understand why anyone subjects themselves to this. You're like, oh, my family's already in tatters and I don't really talk to my kids. Let's have these professional mean people make fun of me about it. Like,
yeah, no, I don't understand. It's also, but I also say it from the other side is, as a comedian, if you're going into that situation, like hands up and get ready to fucking get them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if one of them gets up and like, don't talk that way,
you kiss your son. Yeah.
Yeah, destroy them. Like, literally, it's like, all right, listen up, Tom Brady, you drink avocados. I'm better than you.
Also, he kisses his son on the lips.
I mean, yeah, that's so bizarre. And also, he defends it, that's the worst part.
Why? Oh, what? If you had a son, you wouldn't kiss him on the lips? Only a daughter, huh, John? Let's talk about Rob Ford.
Another man who's kissed Tom Brady's son on the lips.
There's other videos. This is the other thing where it's like really difficult to, like, he shouldn't be the mayor. He should just had a reality show. When he got caught smoking crack, it should be like Rob Ford Rehab, and it's just him getting thrown out of different fast food chains for being too picky about the onions he got on it or some shit.
I completely agree. Like, kind of the high water mark is he goes to LA on kind of this weird publicity tour. Like, he just sort of stops being the mayor for 2 weeks.
Well, he was already doing like no work, apparently. That's according to this documentary. But it's like as soon as he became mayor, the workload went down a lot because he was fucking ripping it up.
So it's also what they immediately do is, so it's always portrayed if they had no way to remove him from the office of mayor, which is true. They had no way to do it, but they had a way to strip him of all his power. So basically, as soon as he As soon as the crack video came out, he was no longer the mayor in anything but name only. Like, it's just like, I don't think he even needed to be there for votes. Like, it was just run by the rest of the city council. The city was just run by the rest of the government for the rest of his term, and he just hung out, which is the weirdest punishment for smoking crack. Listen, as punishment for turning out to be a shiftless drug addict, we are going to make sure that you do more of that.
Yeah. Hey, well, I mean, it makes sense. All right, you're not the mayor, but you have to make the money. Where you're like, wait a minute, paid leave? Let's go. Also,
Yeah.
when he apologized and the tie he picked was every single NFL team, that's fucking sick. Better bust out the tie with all the fucking teams on it.
I mean,
All the fuck. I remember laughing about that with friends for fucking so long. All the fucking teams. Not which team. All the teams. I forgive you.
you think the logic is, well, I'm being very feminine in apologizing, so I better let my voters know I'm still a masculine man by wearing a football tie. But what's more manly than one football team? All the football teams.
I think it was like, listen, everyone likes football, but I'd divide everyone if I had a tie with only one or a couple teams on it. Every team.
Yeah, but I guarantee it was also specifically football because that's the man's team. That's a man's sport.
I think it was just it's a man with no PR team. That's how Rob Ford is. A man with no crisis team. He's like, all the fucking teams.
You're wrong. There is, I guarantee, a crisis team. There are three women and one
It's
man
just
with
Doug Ford
shaking their heads. God damn it. No, Doug Ford had the same PR team and listened to them. You can have a PR team. The problem is that you have to action what they say.
Oh, dude. Well, the chief of police, when he was like, "Oh, we're going to investigate this like crack video," because Rob Ford, in the picture, the famous picture of Rob Ford and the three dudes, one of the dudes died like months after. So
Yeah, well,
like he's
shot months after, yeah.
yeah, and there's also like there's like so he's like it's not like he was like smoking crack with people who were just like really low end. Like he's smoking crack with people who are like pretty high up in the drug trade.
Yeah, man, he's the mayor. You're not going to smoke
and
crack.
He's the mayor.
Like,
It's
he's
like
the mayor.
it's like a fucking Wild West movie with crack. It's fantastic. But the other thing is, so basically they have to announce officially, like, we're investigating this video because the mayor might be tied, and not in a way where like he's controlling anything. The mayor might be, which is even worse, just some idiot who hangs out with these dudes for free blow and maybe just give them whatever they want for free blow. And so the chief of police announces that, and then who now is the premier of Ontario, who basically is the like governor of Ontario, for lack of better words, Doug Ford goes, "Oh, what?" Basically goes, "The fucking chief of police is on our ass now? What? Because my bro just lets to puff a little shit and say somebody's a fucking homo? Fuck this shit." And everyone's like, some people were like, "Yeah, man, fuck you." It's insane that he came out and like, chief of police is getting all political now. It's like, no, man, your brother caught smoking crack with like a bunch of high-end drug dealers. Great stuff.
I have to tell you, you put your finger exactly on what's wrong with right now, and what people don't see is it so crazy Rob Ford was in control of this crack empire? And it's like, no, that's not what the scary part is. The scary part is he's just a guy who likes smoking cocaine and will just do whatever to do that. In the same way, it's like, Donald Trump is this giant fascist leader. It's like, actually, it's much stupider than that. He's a big, dumb guy who just kind of likes getting out of trouble. So he almost did a coup because he just couldn't handle losing the election. Yeah, man. Fucking, as we've learned, history is not crafted by the victors. It is adjusted by the people that survived the stupidity.
Yeah, not all leaders are good at the thing. They're just fucking like, not everyone's Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you just got Julius Penis.
Here's the crazy thing. All right. The Roman Empire was fucking years. I can name Julius Caesar, Marcus Aurelius, Augustus. That's it. That's how fucking bad that organization was run.
Nero. Why? Nero, I like the guy who took over and was like, "Yo, let me rip on this bitch."
Burn the city.
If Rob Ford was the emperor of Roman Empire, it would have been like, I'm gonna eat enough and get your wife to suck me off to see if I can nut pure gravy, and that would be a year-end celebration. Still come.
You know what's so crazy is the Ford family talk to themselves as like they're the Kennedys North. Do you think they ever tag team abroad together? I'm gonna say Hundo P. Hundo P.
I don't know what Doug's into, but I guarantee that Rob has had to throw. Rob's had to started a double team someone, but then the guy had a bigger peen, so he kicked them out.
I agree with that completely. I also, yeah, no, you're making me uncomfortable because you're too good at that.
Yeah, and his dad, and if you look at his dad looks like you would think a conservative asshole would look, whereas Rob just looks pretty like who he is, which is just like a small-time drug dealer who throws probably fun fucking parties.
If you're an
but then also is like hard line on drugs, even though I'm right here dealing the drugs. I didn't think this out.
This is the context on Rob Ford. Imagine if Joe Biden never went into politics and Hunter was the president. That's what it would be like.
That's true. That's 100%. What if Hunter Biden was fat?
Yeah.
was still just like got into it. Legit. Yeah. That's it. And that's the thing that I don't like about the only thing I will say I don't like about politics now. This is the only I found the flaw in politics, John.
Only one, and I want to hear what you think it is.
We don't support crackheads enough for fucking office. That's it.
I absolutely agree with you. By the way, Marion Barry was a beloved mayor. Did a great job. No one talks about this. Buddy Cianci was mobbed up, but with the 30 years he was mayor, Providence was a very clean city. And as soon as he left, of course, all the crime ravaged it completely. But still, for a while, it was a good time.
Rob Ford, of course, cancer, dead now.
That is crazy, right? Because here's basically what happens: is Rob Ford smokes crack and then is just the mayor for the next 2 years, and the real nail in the coffin is there's a giant power out that could have been outage in Toronto over Christmas that could have been averted by just putting more staff in strategic areas, but he just doesn't do it, and it gets missed because there's no mayor of the city for years. And then he's going to run for re-election. And bear in mind, it was close. It was not a lock that he wouldn't win. And then he gets diagnosed with like a bunch of different types of cancer, has to go to another rehab. A couple of sketchy guys I know who wear winter coats in the summertime told me he was doing lots of cocaine smoking at this period of time, and then died of cancer.
Yeah, he lost the mayor again. He had to become a city councilor because his brother became mayor after him. Now as premier, his brother dealt with COVID as well as you would think a guy who used to sell coke at house parties would. One of my favorite press conferences where he came out and he was like, "Oh, Timmy's." He just tried to be as Canadian as he could before announcing the thing here. He's like, Timmy's, they got those little bites. They're good. No one can leave their house for 4 months. Oh yeah, it was good.
I really here's the problem is the American press conferences for the local governments always got trumped by the Trump ones. So we didn't get our local politicians having to do it. They just all got to punt to the insane daily press briefings of the Trump White House, which no one remembers that part of it, where it was just like a bewildered guy in a coat. He's completely naked in the office, and I was told everyone. I don't know.
Well, I would be like, for me, it would be like, what if you got Canada was like, if you get bad news from the HR person, and America was like, what if you get bad news from the guy who's like it's his last day.
Yeah, that was exactly what the entire vibe between Canada and America was during COVID, is you'd go up to Canada. By the way, like you talk about, we were all locked in our homes that whole time. I traveled a shitload through the pandemic, by the way. I went to England. I broke into a hospital.
I mean, I remember seeing, this was fucked up, but I saw someone in the neighborhood. It was like the cops were like coming around telling people to get in their houses, which was fucked up.
Oh shit, I never saw that. I mean, America, there's no way the cops, first of all, LA is great in that like The LAPD is really scary, but if they were like, do this, everyone would be like, no, and then go inside and do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna go inside, but not because you told me to, because I decided that myself. Actually, fuckhead.
Just a quick clarification. What happens is he gets cancer in the middle of running for re-election. He and Doug switch roles. He then runs for a city council seat, and Doug runs to be mayor. He's beaten by John Tory. Doug moves on to try and become premier, and then Rob dies of cancer. Just dies of cancer.
Yeah. And during cancer treatment, he shows up as city councilor in full tracksuits a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, showed up in full tracksuits, and I got to tell you, really makes me want to win him back. Right there, that's an energy where he's like, "Oh, I could just stay home during my intense medical treatment." No. I bought this Gucci number for a fucking reason. Let's walk the 3 blocks to City Hall.
Yeah, and like that's the problem with Rob Ford, really. Left wing, right wing, whatever you want to believe. He was charming because there's nothing more charming than a 300+ pound fat guy who tells you he's going to lose weight, and then literally, like, he does this weight loss thing, and then the next day is seen walking into a fast food place, which is crazy because it's like not drive through. He's like, no, I'll walk.
I'll sit down. I want to listen. I'm not.
Also, one time he was driving and reading the paper while he drove, which is like so much exponentially worse than looking at your phone while you drive. Just like, let's see fucking how the Raiders did yesterday while driving. There's a picture of that. It's not work either. It's the fucking sports section. That's what makes it so hard to dislike this man.
He's all our stepdads.
Just like the reason why Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin's father, was a prime minister for so long is because he did the fucking hand in the pocket, give the finger thing to a lot of the press. They would ask him a question. He'd be like, oh, I have an answer right here. Suck on that. Like, he would do that, and everyone would be like, that's good.
Basically,
there's nothing wrong with
if you
that.
think about it in context, Pierre Elliott Trudeau was asked, hey, a lot of people don't like that you created martial law to try and find 3 guys. And his response was like, well, they can suck my dick, basically.
You know what the crazy thing is? Mick Jagger fucks my wife, and I watch and jack off.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about that? No?
Like, that's why, by the way, like, not to go off on Canadian politics, when people in Canada are like, Trudeau turned out to be a real piece of shit. And I'm like, yeah, just like his fucking dad. I said this from the fucking beginning, but no one remembers or pays attention to Canadian politics except for me. So I'm the only one that was like, yeah, it was really bad. You know what? How like Alberta hates the rest of the country? That was his dad's fault.
Yeah, well, his dad, I mean, when he got in, we were both living in England. Everyone was like, oh, he looks like the fucking prince from Little Mermaid. And I was like, no, he looks like a guy who plays acoustic guitar and pretends to drink vodka all night until everyone passes out, and then he takes his prize.
Yeah, he looks like a real guy that has a moleskin notebook at an open mic. You know what I mean?
But it's like there's so many good reasons to hate him, and then the right wing's like, yeah, fucking they, them, fucking he, me, that's what a fucking... All right, well, I guess we could both in the same place, but we got there for different reasons. Anyway, John, let's stop talking about Canadian politics forever. Rob Ford's done now. There's no reason to ever talk about Rob Ford again. Next week, we're going to talk about a beef that's been in the news, John.
Oh, yeah, baby.
We're big beef. Big slab of beef.
Dave Mustaine talking about the devil. We're talking about James Hetfield being quite possibly the most annoying man on the face of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Lars Ulrich.
I'm going to do a lot of Metallica Megadeth diss tracks I've been thinking of. Good.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, we were going to do Drake and Kendrick Lamar, and then we went, no, let's do the original Drake, Kendrick Lamar.
We're bald and we have no friends, so fucking it's not 2 losers, it's a bunch of losers.
Oh, there's 5 losers off the top of my head, and then there's like 2 semi-losers involved. And Jason Newsted. I'm going to say this. You want to know who comes across grace in that entire saga? Jason Newsted.
I feel so bad for Jason Newsted. They just he was like, here's $1 million. Your poison pill is that these fucking assholes have to be cunts to you for years. And he's like, that's fine.
Yeah, but you know, he's, there is a spoiler alert for next week, but we'll talk about it now. There's like a wrestling shoot interview equivalent with Jason Newsted where he was like, yeah, those guys were dicks to me, but I didn't party and they all partied. So I just saved all my money and I don't have to tour anymore. And they have to tour every 2 years. Like, it's the best for Jason Newsted's like, yeah, they were cunts to me, but I win. Like he literally is like, yeah, I'm not in some kind of monster. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I really respect you for that, Jason. Like, Metallica does not understand how they come across in that documentary.
Yeah, they didn't. That was like, what was it? My friend said that was like learning the Easter Bunny isn't real when I was a kid, but for 2 hours. Anyway, we're talking about that next week. Fucking fuck me.